And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson, and we are glad you are along for the ride. We got a great, brand new, full show for you to kind of get up to date on what's going on in the automotive industry. Isn't that right, Les Jackson? Well, Les is having a little bit of an issue, so we will be back to him in a little bit. But we're going to start this hour with one manufacturer saying it's priced itself out of the EV market. They basically made their vehicles too expensive for anyone to buy, and they are switching back and bringing back internal combustion engine vehicles and keeping them around longer because the other ones are just too expensive. We'll talk about that. The Silverado EV just passed the $50,000 mark, and it was supposed to be a $40,000 vehicle when it started, but that's not going to happen. Plus, BMW, they had a reveal this week, and is the M35I. It has the most powerful four-cylinder turbocharged engine of any BMW ever in its lineup. And they've had a lot of Turbo 4s. And we're going to kind of look at what's going on with that vehicle, the M35i. And then, can the color of your vehicle hurt its resale value? And why is Fiat canceling gray vehicles? Well, you know, there was a time, Les, when you and I got nothing but gray vehicles and in the press fleet, so I guess they decided it was time to cancel them. They don't want any more boring colors, and so we'll tell you about that and what their plans are for the future. Of course, one of their big plans is to get the 500e back into the U.S. market, and we'll tell you how they're going to do that. All that and more when we get rolling on this edition of Cruise Control Radio. Les will be back with us in a little bit. We'll get him set up again, and let's see if we can grab him while he's here and see if he is back with us. Les, you back with us? No, he is not. Okay. Well, we will stick around and work on that during the break. But you are listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. We're there, so we want you to check all of that out. Plenty of great information. We're also going to have some pricing information coming up on the Nissan Leaf and the Kia Telluride, the super hot Kia Telluride. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub here. Les Jackson will be back with us. We're just working out a little technical problem there. But Les Jackson will be back with us. And it's time for our first story, Mercedes. Les Jackson is back with us. Let's join us back in, Les, if you would. And we'll get to Les in a second here when he comes back in. All right. I see him there. He's getting ready. He's getting his headphones on. Mercedes may have jumped the gun when it comes to EVs in the U.S. And the deal is they may have overpriced them so high that people just are not buying them. This is according to a report in Automotive News Canada that says dealers are they can't sell them. They offer 5 of them, 5 EVs, the most affordable of which is $52,750. And when you compare models that are internal combustion powered, you look at the EQB, which is electric, that's $52,750. The combustion powered model, the GLB 250, has a lower starting price of $39,800. So it's a big difference in price, and it only goes up from there. With that in mind, Mercedes has said they're going to keep internal combustion vehicles around a lot longer than they planned because they're finding the prices are just too high for EVs, and they can't have that where people just come in, they can't afford something. They want it. They want a EV-powered vehicle, but they just can't afford it. And it's interesting because I have a lot of friends looking at EVs and they're buying a new car and they're like, what should I buy? I'm telling them to hold off. You know, the prices will come down, the capability will come down. If you buy an EV now for big money, you might be getting 300 miles of range, but in a few years when solid-state batteries come in, you might be able to double that range. There's a story we're going to talk about later about how the charger is changing. It seems like most people are going to the charger for that is the Tesla standard. You don't have that right now, so things are changing rapidly. I would not spend a lot of money on a electric SUV right now. If you want one, if you want an electric vehicle, I would buy a less expensive vehicle like the Chevy Bolt. Of course, that's going away, but buy a less expensive one or lease it. I think that would be the best approach because things are going to change so much that you don't want to be, paying on a big expensive vehicle when the new ones are going to be a lot more capable. So that's just my advice. But your mileage may vary, as they say. So we'll see if this plays out across the industry. And in a related story, actually, Chevy has announced that the Silverado EV, which was supposed to start at $50,000, we're supposed to start at $40,000, is now going to start at $50,000. And basically, it's because of inflation and the price of the batteries and everything else, and it's gone up. And it was hard, I think, for any manufacturer to say, well, it's going to cost this much, and then not be able to meet that. I mean, I almost think it was a given that if you said it was going to cost $40,000, it was going to go up from there. So $10,000 more than what they originally planned for when they announced the vehicle. I think this is a trend. I think this is just something that we're going to see a lot of as we transition to these vehicles. But remember, these are early vehicles. These are going to change dramatically in the next few years. Battery technology, the way you charge it's going to change. Capability, the weight. Right now, the vehicles are very heavy if you want to get beyond, let's say, 300 miles of range. So all that has to be considered in. And the volume of electric vehicles, that's just going to increase very quickly. And that will, of course, mean that there's more batteries being sold and the economies of scale. So I would say probably think about waiting. But certainly disappointing for people that thought they could get into a $40,000 Silverado EV. That's just not going to happen. And I would venture a guess even the $50,000 models will be a lot more expensive than $50,000. When we come back, we're going to continue on telling you about BMW's brand new model and a whole lot more. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. He's Les Jackson. We will be right back. Less. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We are glad you are along for the ride. And we've been talking a little bit about EVs and the fact that some of these vehicles that were supposed to be $40,000 are now, well, $10,000 more. And some are so expensive that people are just shying away from them. And that's something that's going to have to change really because people are just not going to um, be able to afford these things. And with that in mind, let's switch over to another vehicle maker, BMW, and they have this week revealed a vehicle that is gas-powered, Les Jackson, and it is their most powerful four-cylinder turbo engine, 310 312 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, and a top speed of 155 miles an hour. It is the M35i xDrive. And look at that, it's an SUV. It is a X1 M35 xDrive. Very stout, 312 horsepower, the new four-cylinder engine, the most potent one they've ever built, and it's got a complete adoption of the Miller combustion cycle and stronger crankshaft, optimized oil supply system for pistons with cooling channels, main bearing shells and caps, and it's equipped with the Vanos variable camshaft timing with optimized oil supply. And the result of all these enhancements is 312 horsepower, produced between 5,750 RPM and 6,500 RPM. And I am sure this is quite spirited. I would imagine it is quite spirited. So I think it's probably a fun vehicle to drive. I just think this is something that is probably going to be in big demand as soon as it comes out. I just really think this is something that plays right to the BMW base, and they're going to like it a lot. So let's see what they come up with next, right? And just to pull that kind of power out of a four-cylinder is just amazing. I mean, you think back, and to get 312 horsepower not that long ago, you certainly needed a V8, and to be able to pull that out of a four-cylinder is amazing. I mean, think back to the days when a 5.7 liter V8, it was great if you could get 200 horsepower, 250 horsepower, and now 315 out of a four-cylinder, 2-liter four-cylinder, with a production engine is pretty amazing. The transmission is a 7-speed double-clutch Steptronic transmission with M Sport Boost. Pretty standard for the folks over at BMW with their M line. And the xDrive is an all-wheel drive mechanical limited slip diff at the front axle. So if you have that horsepower, it's nothing like laying it down. And to lay it down with four wheels, hey, that is the best way to go for sure. So it's going to be a potent little package. Now, do we have pricing on it? I actually think we do. Yes. No. No, we don't have pricing on it. Let's just say it's going to be expensive. It rolls on 20-inch light alloy wheels with non-run flat tires, M compound brakes, panoramic moonroof, eucalyptus open pore fine wood trim, aluminum trim with mesh effect, which is found on a lot of BMWs, and it has all the major standard equipment, including the adaptive M suspension, LED headlights, and optional equipment, including the driver assistance plus package with active cruise control with stop and go, driver assistance professional package, active cruise control with stop and go, active lane keeping, and traffic jam assist, and the M Shadowline lights and extended Shadowline trim package. M Sport Professional package is available with red or blue calipers and M compound brakes. And then the premium package with universal garage door opener, panoramic moonroof, interior camera, parking assist plus, head-up display, live cockpit, professional including navigation, and anti-theft recorder. So whole lot of goodies from the folks over at BMW. That is going to be a popular one in their lineup, the M35i. Pricing, I'm going to say, $50,000 to start at least. I would say, at least that. So that is interesting news from the folks over at BMW. So coming up, we're going to find out about a couple of stories based around the color of your car. Now, Les and I have talked about this for a long time, but for a while there, all of our press cars were gray, and it seemed to be like they just love these things, and they just thought, well, it shows off the lines, it shows off. It's a great color for dark days or bright days, and so over at Fiat, they decided there are just too many gray cars in the world. So we'll talk about this, and we will talk about how color affects the price of your vehicle. Apparently, there's a big deal in resale depending on your color, and the most popular colors for cars are white, red, and black, and gray. But white, red, and black are always the most popular colors. And apparently, they might not be the best for the resale value. So we'll talk about that. And I always wondered a lot of times when people would order Corvettes, they could pay to go out of the normal color palette and get like green seats with a yellow car, or there was the popular McDonald's car with the yellow body with the red seats. Um, and I always wondered how would that affect resale value. That's great if you just like it and you want to do it, but it seems like you know it would that would negatively affect your resale value. But you might be surprised. That is a iccars.com study that we're going to take a look at that. We got a lot to get to. There's pricing on new models as well. Les will be excited to know that one designer at one manufacturer is saying he thinks the SUV will be going away. And we'll talk about what he thinks will replace that. Um, and also, we have some good news. Traffic fatalities have decreased, so we'll talk about that and some new standard safety things that a system that they want to make standard safety uh, on large trucks, Class 8 trucks. So a lot to get to on cruise control. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com. Also, check us out at our YouTube page and on our Facebook page. There's a lot going on there. We're always chatting it up, and we really like to have you along for the ride on that. When we come back, hopefully Les can once again join the party, and we will jump into those two stories that talk about the value of color, whether you move away from gray or you move to some color that is very popular with you, but may not be popular with someone else. So how will that affect the value of your vehicle? Because we're always trying to help you select that new vehicle here on Cruise Control, and maybe even give you some guidance on what color to pick. Normally it's what vehicle to buy and what features to add, but now we might be getting down to that level of what color to select. I'm Fred Staub. He is Lester Jackson. We will be right back, so stay tuned to Cruise Control. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. Les is still trying to make it back to the show, so we will we will get back to him in a little bit. So let's talk about this Fiat story. Of course, Fiat is a little bit of a well, we just don't have many vehicles in the U.S. from Fiat anymore. They're trying to bring back the Fiat 500e and get that back into the U.S. They certainly want to do that. So it is returning. And they thought, well, maybe we should make a little bit of a splash. And they dumped CEO Olivier Francois into a vat of orange paint. And somehow they shielded his suit from getting into the paint. But basically, they took a gray Fiat 500 and dumped it into a vat of orange paint to make the case for not having any more bland colored cars, no more gray. They're going to basically move to a bright color palette because they say that's what the brand is about. And a kind of an interesting way of making their point, but that's what they did. Kind of goes back to the old days of some of the big reveals we would see at different car shows, where they would really go all out and basically, just put on a big show to get a lot of press. So that's what Fiat did here. It's gray, by the way, is the most popular color for cars in the UK, and one in four are painted that color. It's just some say it feels appropriate in the UK because of all the rain and that, but there won't be any more gray cars. I wonder, will someone buy a Fiat 500e and wrap it in that matte gray finish, with a wrap, just to be funny? Wrap that orange car in a matte gray finish. Well, we'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know if that will happen, but we will have to see. But over at IC Cars, they had another viewpoint on this. Which colors that can hurt your resale value? And apparently, choosing the wrong color can hurt your resale value by up to $5,000. And you would think, well, certain colors would be good. They would kind of help out, but they don't. So for the rankings, you should see this: the depreciation. If you have a gold car, apparently it will depreciate by 25.9%, which is a lot. And that's a difference of $11,546 from the MSRP. So that is huge. That is at the bottom of the list. In other words, the bottom being the ones that will depreciate the most. And then you go up to brown. Brown has never been popular. Matter of fact, Corvette just killed off their kind of root beer colored car because it just wasn't popular. And black, believe it or not, a black car, the depreciation for a 3-year depreciation percentage is 23.9. Now, a lot of people love black cars, but they are hard to keep and, of course, hard to maintain, and they're kind of an acquired taste. Silver, believe it or not, even though a lot of cars are silver or gray, they are 23.2% more likely to depreciate, and that's about an average of $9,218 off of your MSRP, off the MSRP. Now, at the top of the list, number 5 is not such a big surprise. These, as we move to the top of the list, these are cars that will, or colors that will depreciate less. At the top of the list is, or in the top five, red. Red will only lose about 20.6% depreciation wise, which is roughly about $8,538 off of the MSRP. Green moves up next, number 4, 19.2%, $8,719. Orange is number 3 at $7,023. Beige, you can't talk about silver being kind of bland. Well, beige obviously is really bland. And that will you only lose 17.8% and about $8,411. And then the number one color for low depreciation, which I find completely strange because I just think I think it's an acquired taste. That would be yellow. Yellow only depreciates in 3 years 13.5% for a difference of about $6,588 off of the MSRP. You might ask where white is, because I believe white is the most popular color, and that's number 6 at 21.9%, about $9,695. So, so there you have it. I think also, by the way, this comes from iccars.com. Popular car colors, the big takeaways, popular car colors, white, black, and silver don't help resale value, with silver and black actually ranking below average numbers. And the most beneficial colors for retaining value include yellow and orange and are not common choices. So if you're buying a Mopar product, certainly, or a Hugger Orange Camaro or Corvette, yes, those colors are great. But other cars, you might not want an orange SUV. Just my thoughts on it. But rarity alone does not determine how much the vehicle depreciates. Two paint colors with the highest depreciation, brown and gold, also have a low market share. As I said, Corvette eliminated their brown color. I think it was called caffeine, and they got rid of that. And it's kind of a root beer color. You just don't see a lot of it, and they just got rid of it. So I guess at a certain point, while it would depreciate now and people might not want a brown Corvette, in the future somebody's going to say, wow, look at that. That's painted caffeine, and that is a neat color. So interesting color choices. I think, though, in this case, get the color you want. I happen to like gray. There are a lot of not flat gray, but non-metallic gray. There's a color for Jeeps called Destroyer, which looks like haze gray. I've had vehicles with a sort of a metallic bluish gray, which I think is pretty cool. I think it can be an attractive color. And frankly, color has become a lot more of an option for people because we're spending additional money for these things, and you're spending sometimes $300, $400, $500 for these things, and that is a big deal. That is a big deal. So we will stay on this story and see what happens with it, because color is a big deal. Color is a big deal. And I say get the color you want. Get the color you want. You don't have to be so concerned with resale value. I still think if you get a silver car, you'll be okay. You're listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staub and Les Jackson. When we come back, we're going to continue on. We got the story of the final Dodge Challenger Demon 170. That's the 1,000 horsepower monster if you run it on ethanol. But that was auctioned off recently at Barrett-Jackson. We'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about Porsche thinking about building an electric flagship SUV. So that's all coming up here on Cruise Control. A lot more to go. Don't forget to check us out at our Cruise Control YouTube page and also check out our Facebook page. So a lot going on at both of those pages. And we also have some reveals, not reveals, pricing on a couple of models, including the Kia Telluride, the almost impossible to get Kia Telluride. We'll also talk about the Lexus ES coming out this week, and we have some pricing models on that as well. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. We will be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub here, Les Jackson. Well, we're trying to bring him in. So we had a little technical difficulty with Les's feed this morning. So um, let's continue on our ride around the automotive industry. And let's talk a little bit about the Demon 170. The Demon 170 is the last final version of the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. Of course, the Demon was brought out in 2018. I was lucky enough to drive it at one event and put it through its paces on the track. Well, the SRT Demon 170 upped that game, and it has over 1,000 horsepower. Hard to believe this is a street legal car. It has 1,025 horsepower and 945 pound-feet of torque if you power it with E85 ethanol. And 0 to 60 mile per hour is 1.66. This is basically a street legal drag car that comes with a warranty. But these are going to be super rare. And so, as is the norm with Barrett Jackson, they've decided to auction off the first one of these for charity. And as so often is the case with Barrett Jackson, there are some very genuine people and very, very generous. It was won for $400,000. But the winning bidders said, you know what? I don't want it. Put it back in and let's see if we can raise more money. The second round of bidding attracted an additional $300,000. And the grand total of $700,000 will be donated to the Christie House, which is a Florida-based nonprofit that offers treatment for child trauma and other situations. Some interesting things here about the Demon. If the winning bidder already has a 2018 Demon, Dodge will happily match its VIN code to the Challenger Demon 170, provided the number is still available. I think that's pretty rare. They don't normally mess with VIN codes, but they will do that for you. And you can get a number of different options for the vehicle. There's a $5,995 premium package, which includes the 18-speaker Harman Kardon surround sound system, driver assist, heated and ventilated seats with Laguna leather. And it's interesting here. Really, Dodge wanted to discourage people from getting the sunroof, which you would not necessarily want a sunroof on a drag car. Puts a lot of weight up high and takes away some structural rigidity to the vehicle. So Dodge will put one in if you give them an additional $10,000. They made it purposely expensive to discourage owners from specifying that heavy luxury item, that weight up high. So I wonder how many of these things are going to be made. I think very few really will be made, and I think this is great that this is gone for this much money, $700,000. And of course, it's not the only vehicle to do that over at Barrett Jackson. Of course, the first E-Ray Corvette sold for $1.1 million last year, and someone paid $500,000 for the Cadillac Escalade V when that was auctioned off for charity. So pretty neat stuff. Pretty neat stuff, and pretty expensive. So, but there's a lot of people with big hearts that go to Barrett Jackson. Porsche seems to be sharing details on a full-size flagship electric SUV, and this happened at their annual meeting, their recent annual meeting for 2023, discussing its performance in the previous year. The German automaker saw 2.6% increase in deliveries, with 309,844 cars sold. Um, and during the event, Oliver Bloom, who was CEO of Porsche and chairman of the Volkswagen Group, outlined the company's strategy to achieve the objective of having more EVs and have at least 80% of its sales comprised of battery powered EVs by 2030. Remember, Porsche is also working on synthetic fuel to keep the internal combustion engine around. So I guess that might be that other 20% there. But with all this discussion, it kind of leaked out that there is a high end, large Porsche all electric SUV in the works that would sit above Cayenne in the Porsche food chain. So it would be interesting to see a Porsche probably with 3 rows and a very high end interior and an electric powertrain. So won't that be affordable? I'm sure that will be very affordable. This is interesting. We always like looking at laws from around the world. And this is pretty interesting. Italian lawmakers want to ban new drivers from cars with more than 95 horsepower for the first 3 years of their driving career in Italy. This would even go for experienced drivers that are coming over from the U.S. and moving there. And it would be, well, let's just say interesting to drive something with 95 horsepower or less. Now, we have very few vehicles available to us in the U.S., with the exception of one from Mitsubishi that would fit this horsepower limit. But over in Europe, it's fairly common to have vehicles, entry-level vehicles with less than 95 horsepower. I remember the first time I went to Europe, there were a number of numbers, different numbers on the back of the vehicles in Italy. And I thought maybe it had something to do with registration, or I didn't know what. It really was a speed limit for each car. Instead of the speed limit being posted, it was posted on the back of the car so a police officer could see what was, how fast it should go. And the less expensive ones had numbers around 70 or 80, and the BMWs had numbers over 100. So it's kind of a follow-on to this. It is, you think about Italy, it's known for tight streets and compact cars, and I wonder, though, how some of these would do on the highways. They would not be exciting to drive, and actually they might be a little bit in the way. And this is a decision by Italy's Council of Ministers, and it is extended, as I mentioned, to all for 3 years for all new license holders. But it still has to go through the government to get passed. But it is interesting to see what will happen with this. It's always, I guess, if you're a new driver, it's best not to go out and buy a Hellcat, as some people do. But then again, on the other hand, you don't want to buy a car that can't get out of its own way. Here, even Honda Civics and Toyota Camrys, which are some of our least expensive kind of entry-level cars, would, not necessarily Camry, more the Corolla, but even a Toyota Corolla has more horsepower than that. Even my Vibe from 2003 has more horsepower than that. It would be deemed a fast car in Italy. So interesting law. We'd like to get your take on it. What do you think? Is that a good idea to limit the horsepower for new drivers? Put a note in the comments, either on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. Hey, I'm Fred Staub. I'll see you down the road.